For decades, the subject of unidentified flying objects was relegated to the fringes of society. It was the stuff of science fiction, late-night conspiracy radio, and tabloid punchlines. But the narrative has fractured. Today, the conversation isn't happening in dark basements. It's happening in the halls of the United States Congress. America is finally taking extraterrestrials seriously. And the evidence is no longer just blurry photographs. It is highly classified military sensor data and the sworn testimony of the men and women who operate our nation's most advanced defense systems. The turning point arrived in the summer of 2023. On July 26th, the House Oversight Committee held a bipartisan hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. The star witness was David Grusch, a decorated combat veteran and former intelligence officer with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. Under oath, Grusch delivered a bombshell claim. The U.S. government is in possession of intact and partially intact vehicles of non-human origin. He testified that a multi-decade crash retrieval and reverse engineering program has been operating entirely outside of congressional oversight. When pressed by lawmakers on whether the government had recovered bodies from these craft, Grusch's response was chilling. He stated that non-human biologics were recovered alongside the vehicles. This wasn't a fringe theorist speaking. This was a high-level intelligence official who had been tasked by the government itself to investigate UAPs.
It looks like the cameraman was kind of scanning around to get a better picture of it. Yeah, zoom up. Let's see. Is it gonna pop? There it is, right up on the top of the screen. Boom, there it is, center. What are we looking at? Look at there's even a point of another object to the left there, almost at 11 o'clock. Yeah, I'm noticing them. I didn't notice the first time, but after blowing it up there to the far left, you notice something, maybe another UFO off at a distance, but whatever we're looking at, it's crystal clear that something is going on, especially in Garden Grove, California. Has anybody seen this? We want more answers, and let me tell you, this episode is full of the phenomenon. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. All right, let's get a close-up look. I blew up the original video to the right about 300%, and we're looking at something incredible. Broad daylight sighting of the sport model flying saucer. It looks metallic. Everything seems to be matching up. I don't see any manipulation. Look how large this craft is, and it's slowly rising. Whatever it is, it's probably about 25 to 35 feet in diameter. It's up there in the sky. Brent, your thoughts? Wow, this is extraordinary footage. Look at that thing. It's a classic flying saucer. It looks metallic, hovering within the mountain ridge over there. Probably about maybe 150 feet up, maybe 200. But when you get a close up, it looks legit. You can see the camera trying to focus in on this thing, and he does this massive pull back with his camera and then zooms in again. This is classic tells of this video being real. Look at this thing. What's your opinion, guys? Is this the otherworldly craft phenomenon that we're looking for?
Yeah, once again, it looks to me
the person shooting it is at least a quarter mile away. And as he zooms in, he gets a pretty good look at it. And again, whatever it is, it's quite large and it's hovering in the skies. What's going on in the jungles over there in South America? This is incredible footage. All right, now let's get to this new drop. Skinny Bob made the rounds approximately 14 years ago. Now there's a new drop coming in. And we're going to be covering some of the videos that have been making the rounds. We're looking at it right now, apparently coming in from the same source that dropped the first Skinny Bob. And look at this huge craft. We see some people observing it on the tarmac. Again, we're kind of watching it in real time. It looks like something crashed. There's some smoke going on. All right, let's just kind of look at what's coming in from this Super 8 footage. It looks like black and white. We see some being on the ground, and there's another. That's Skinny Bob, or is that another Skinny Bob? He looks a little different. We're not saying this is legitimate evidence by any means right here at Third Phase Moon, but the Skinny Bob phenomenon, it's made the rounds, and look, we're getting new imagery coming in. It's cool just to watch, right, Brent?
Very cool, to say the least. Look at this. Yeah, it doesn't look. It looks like a different, Skinny Bob from the original. This one has different, facial features. Almost looks a little bit more menacing, not so friendly like, but it does have a cuteness at the same time too. He seems maybe a little scared. I'd be scared too if you're captured by the government and interrogated. But look at that. It almost looks like a Zeppelin, but it isn't. There it is, just hovering as it rises, and here's some aerial view from inside a plane, military plane, as they're apparently capturing this phenomenon right there. It looks kind of legit.
Yeah, is this Skinny Bob's craft before it crashed, or is this just another event? I'm not exactly sure, but look at the rope dangling in front of it, and everything seems to match up. That's what's pretty cool about these videos. They look really, really good. This one extends for quite some time. It's just not a quick 3 or 5 second clip that AI usually does. That one lasted for a while. Look at it. Looks like Skinny Bob was pointing at the underbelly of his craft. And then this is almost like a colorized version of this pursuit of the craft unknown. Kind of brings back Flight of the Navigator memories. And apparently this clip is exploration of within the craft itself, the UFO. They take you inside the UFO. This is interesting. Is that like some kind of pod? Kind of reminds me of the new Bob Lazar movie, of how Bob Lazar explained what it looked like within the flying disc of the sports model.
He further alleged that a sophisticated disinformation campaign has been used to obscure the truth from the American public, and that individuals have been harmed or worse to protect the secret. Grusch did not sit alone. Beside him were two highly respected former Navy aviators, Commander David Fravor and Lieutenant Ryan Graves.
Commander Fravor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Congressmen, Congresswomen. I want to first thank you for the invitation to speak to the committee on the UAP topic that has been in the news for the past 6 years and seems to be continuing to gain momentum. As you know, my name is David Fravor. I'm a retired commander in the United States Navy. In 2004, I was a commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41, the world-famous Black Aces. We were attached to Carrier Wing 11, stationed on board the USS Nimitz, and had begun a 2-month workup cycle off the coast of California. On this day, we were scheduled for a 2v2 air-to-air training with the USS Princeton as our control. When we launched off Nimitz, my wingman was joining up. We were told that the training was going to be suspended and we were going to proceed with real-world tasking. As we proceeded to the west, the air controller was counting down the range to an object that we were going to, and we were unaware of what we were going to see when we arrived. The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space. We arrived at the location at approximately 20,000 feet, and the controller called merge plot, which means that our radar blip was now in the same resolution cell as the contact. As we looked around, we noticed that we saw some whitewater off our right side. It's important to note that the weather on this day was as close to perfect as you could ask for off the coast of San Diego. Clear skies, light winds, calm seas, no whitecaps from waves. So the whitewater stood out in a large blue ocean. All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a saw a white Tic Tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the Tic Tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We continued down another 270 degrees, nose low, where the Tic Tac, or we considered 270 degrees to where, and we went nose low to where the Tic Tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the Tic Tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also. So as we started to turn back towards the east, the controller came up and said, "Sir, you're not going to believe this, but that thing is at your cap point roughly 60 miles away in less than a minute." You can calculate the speed. We returned to Nimitz. We were taking off our gear. We were talking to one of my crews that was getting ready to launch. We mentioned it to them, and they went out and luckily got the video that you see, that 90-second video. What you don't see is the radar tape that was never released, and we don't know where it's at, of the active jamming that the object put on an APG-73 radar, and I can get into modes later if you're interested. What is shocking to us is that the incident was never investigated. None of my crew were ever questioned. Tapes were never taken, and after a couple days, it turned into a great story with friends. It wasn't until 2009 till Jay Stratton had contacted me to investigate. Unbeknownst to all, he was part of the ATIP program in the Pentagon led by Lou Elizondo. And there was an unofficial official report that came out that's now on the internet. Years later, I was contacted by the other pilot, Alex Dietrich, and asked if I'd been contacted, and I said no, but I'm willing to talk. I was contacted by Mr. Elizondo, and we talked for a short period of time, and he said we'd be in contact. A few weeks after that, I was made aware that Lou had left the Pentagon in protest and joined forces with Tom DeLonge, Chris Mellon, Steve Justice, and others to form Two Stars Academy, an organization that pressed the issue with leading industry experts and U.S. government officials. They worked with Leslie Keane, who is present today, Ralph Blumenthal, and Helene Cooper to publish the articles in the New York Times 2017 New York Times, and it removed the stigma on the topic of UFOs, which is why we're here today. Those articles open the door for the government and public that cannot be closed. It has led to an interest from our elected officials who are not focused on little green men, but figuring out where these craft are, where they're from, the technology they possess, how do they operate. It also led to the Whistleblower Protection Act and the NDAA. There are multiple witnesses coming forward to say that have firsthand knowledge, and Mr. Grusch just covered that. What concerns me is that there's no oversight from our elected officials on anything associated with our government processing or working on craft. Believe it not from this world. This issue is not a full public disclosure that could undermine national security, but it is about ensuring that our system of checks and balances works across all work done in the government using taxpayer funds. Relative to government programs, even unacknowledged WAVE programs have some level of oversight by the appropriate committee members in the House and Senate, and this work that is said to be occurring from whistleblower testimonies should not be exempt. In closing, I would like to say that the Tic Tac object we engaged in 2004 was far superior to anything that we had on time, have today, or are looking to develop in the next 10 years. If we in fact have programs that possess this technology, it needs to have oversight from those people that the citizens of this great country elected in office to represent what is best for the United States and best for the citizens. I thank you for your time.
30 years ago today, KLAS aired a live interview with an anonymous man who made some really astonishing claims. He alleged that the U.S. military was secretly studying alien technology out in the Nevada desert near a base that is now very well known all over the world, Area 51.
A lot has changed in the decades since Bob Lazar first told this wild story. The Pentagon recently admitted that it really has been secretly studying UFOs and then it wanted to figure out and duplicate that technology.
George Knapp looks back at that 1989 interview that started a whole new conversation.
It's totally impossible. The propulsion system is a gravity propulsion system. The power source is an antimatter reactor. this technology does not exist at all.
The claims sounded like Hollywood sci-fi. Months later, when his identity was revealed, Bob Lazar said he worked at a secret facility near Groom Lake, where alien technology was being reverse engineered, that is, taken apart to figure out how it worked and whether the Pentagon could duplicate it. This is the simple drawing he made at the time.
Here now, I had access and was permitted to view and look at the operation of this main level with the gravity amplifiers and the level below.
The premise seems less preposterous now. In a new documentary about Lazar, he describes in detail the spacecraft he worked on 30 years ago.
The craft that I worked on, that when it's going to travel a long distance, that is how it operates. It flies along and it puts its belly to the target and then brings all the amplifiers to power, and it shoots off in that direction. It doesn't fly as it would in the science fiction movies. It flies with the belly, the bottom forward.
If the description of a spacecraft tilting sounds familiar, take a look at the so-called GIMBAL UFO, a video released by the Pentagon in 2017. Naval pilots encountered a fleet of these unknown craft off the coast of Florida in 2015 and have since had dozens of similar encounters. The spike in UFO incidents prompted a recent policy change by the Navy, which announced it wants to encourage its pilots to report future incidents. Pentagon officials reluctantly admitted to the New York Times 17 months ago that the military has secretly studied UFO incidents, in part so it might figure out the technology.
In the GIMBAL video, there's a mechanistic turn against the wind without deceleration. So we have a craft without rotors, without heat signatures, without plumes, without tail fins, and certainly no tail number, moving in a way that is counterintuitive to our own aeronautics. When Bob saw that, he came to the conclusion this has to be a gravity-propelled craft.
It's rotating.
That it does mimic exactly the propulsion system that Bob Lazar described.
This story is extraordinary.
Jeremy Corbell directed the Lazar documentary, but he also broke the story about another now famous UFO incident, the 2004 Tic Tac encounter. The Navy pilot who engaged the Tic Tac, Black Aces Commander Dave Fravor, has said he doesn't believe the astonishing craft was made on Earth, that the propulsion might be anti-gravity. When Lazar was shown the Tic Tac video for the first time, it immediately reminded him of the sport model, his name for the craft stashed in the desert.
There's no question in my mind. I mean, I'm virtually certain that's the way the craft operated, and that uses close to or the exact same propulsion system.
Former Pentagon intelligence officer Lou Elizondo was in charge of ATIP, the secret Pentagon study. He told us one goal of the project was to determine the physics of UFOs, how they can achieve the seemingly impossible. The military came to believe the craft relied on special metamaterials, stuff that can't be made with known technology. Lazar made similar claims decades ago and was ridiculed. Now the Pentagon is on the same page.
Where the study of UFOs did not end in 1969 with Project Blue Book. In fact, that was a lie, and it is now an admitted lie by our own Pentagon. We are living in a world where it is understood that there are craft technologically advanced from unknown origin that are performing maneuvers that far exceed anything of human technology. This has been going on a long time, and our government has been studying it.
Right, they had a poster, and it looked like a commercial poster almost, like it was lithographed and you could buy it at a Kmart or something, but they were all over the place, and it had the disc that I coined the term the sport model, was lifted off the ground about 3 feet at area S4 on the dry lake there, and the caption on the bottom said "They're here." And those are just all over the place.
Later, he got to see the real thing.
When I was let in, it was the first time I saw the sport model in the hangar, sitting down, and I was told they could have walked me in the front door, but they purposely wanted to walk me by it. I was told not to say anything and just keep my eyes forward and walk past the disc into the office area. And I did, and as we went by it, I just kind of stuck my hands on it just to run it alongside the thing, and you know, that was about the smallest time. After that, I got to see it actually lift off the ground and operate.
But you also, in between that, you saw more than one.
Yeah. The hangars are all connected together, and there are large bay doors between each one. And there were 9 total that I saw, each one being different. Like they had the assortment pack.
Security at S4 was oppressive, Lazar says, and his superiors used fear and intimidation almost as a brainwashing tool.
It did everything but physically hurt me.
Put a gun to your head?
Yeah.
And said what? Actually put a gun to your head?
Well, they did that even in the original security briefings. They had guards there with M16s, and guys slamming their finger into my chest, screaming in my ear, some people pointing weapons at me. Like I said, it's not a good place to work.
That fear factor would surface later. Lazar agreed to undergo a polygraph exam as part of this report. Polygrapher Ron Slay asked about the technology Lazar had seen.
Did you knowingly lie when you said you had actually seen anti-gravity propulsion in operation?
No.
The results of this exam were inconclusive. Lazar appeared to be truthful on one test, deceitful on a second. Slay recommended that a second examiner be brought in. Polygrapher Terry Tavernetti runs a corporate security operation and is a former Los Angeles police officer. He put Lazar through 4 tests and concluded there was no attempt to deceive.
And I left there thinking that I feel we do have some credibility to what the subject had to say. And that's when I went to some of my colleagues.
Tavernetti sent the test results to a third polygrapher who agreed the results appeared truthful. The charts were then sent to a 4th examiner who did not agree, suggesting Lazar might be relating information he'd learned from someone else. The polygraphers conferred and decided they would not issue a final statement on truthfulness until more specific testing can be conducted, and that's where it stands. Tavernetti believes that difficulty in determining Lazar's truthfulness stems from the fear that was drilled into him.
I think we're talking about a subject here that is so far-reaching, and it is so emotional. And when you're dealing with emotions, this is polygraph, because in polygraph, you're looking at fear. The fear of getting caught telling a lie because something bad will happen to you if you do.
Well, I am telling the truth. I've tried to prove that. What's going on up there could be the most important event in history. You're talking about contact, physical contact and proof from another system, another planet, another intelligence. That's got to be the biggest event in history, period.
And it's real.
And it's real and it's there. And I had an extremely small part in it, but I'm convinced that what I saw is absolute proof of that. There is no way we could have created those systems. There's no way we could have made the disks, the power supplies, anything to go with them.
The military can no longer deny what their own sensors are capturing. In 2020, the Pentagon officially declassified 3 Navy videos, known as FLIR, GIMBAL, and GOFAST. These videos show craft performing maneuvers that would destroy human pilots with extreme G-forces. To address the mounting crisis, the Department of Defense established the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. While AARO has attributed many sightings to balloons or drones, a significant percentage of cases remain completely unresolved. The government officially admits there are objects in our airspace, and we do not know what they are or who controls them. This sudden push for transparency casts a new light on decades of historical whispers. For years, the epicenter of UFO lore has been a highly classified remote detachment of Edwards Air Force Base in Nevada, Area 51. The CIA didn't even officially acknowledge the base's existence until 2013. Whistleblowers like Bob Lazar claimed in the late 1980s that the facility was used to reverse engineer alien propulsion systems. While Lazar's claims remain fiercely debated, the recent congressional testimony of David Grusch echoes those exact allegations, that defense contractors are hiding off-world technology in black site facilities. We are standing on the precipice of a paradigm shift. Bipartisan legislation is now being drafted to force the declassification of UAP records. Lawmakers are demanding access to special access programs. The stigma that once silenced pilots and scientists is dissolving. The question is no longer whether unidentified anomalous phenomena exist. The military has confirmed they do. The question now is, what are they? Where do they come from? And how long has the government known the truth? America is finally asking the right questions. The answers may change humanity forever.
Hey, if you're enjoying this content, smash that like button right now. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a video. Oh, and hit that notification bell. Ring, ring. That way, you'll be the first to know every time we drop something new. Thanks so much. You're amazing. See you in the next one.